Why do we normalize tables in a database? We normalize tables in a database for a few different reasons. One is to eliminate repetitive data, so we don't have, if, for example, a user on Amazon orders multiple things, their customer name is not in the database multiple times. They have one account, and that account number is then tied to each of their orders. Otherwise, there could be errors with the fact that their name's in there multiple times, and it could be in there multiple ways. So you have, it's like when you get the same catalog multiple times from a company, one's to Bob Smith, Mr. Bob Smith, Mr. and Mrs. Bob Smith, Mr. Janet Smith. You get repetitive data, which can cost the company money if you're sending things out, or just it's dirty data. The other one is to separate different things out and eliminate information that's not completely dependent on one piece of information, which also then goes in and helps with some of that breakup in the non-repetitive data. For example, a author can write multiple books. Well, a book could also be written by multiple authors. And so we don't necessarily want the information for a book listed multiple times just because there's multiple authors, but we also don't want an author's information listed multiple times because they wrote multiple books. And that goes along with, then you also have publishers. And a publisher listed for an author, one author could publish one book by one author through one publisher, and another book through another publisher. And so we normalize so that we can separate all those pieces of information into kind of the lowest meaningful piece. And so we might have a publishers table that contains all the publisher information. We have a titles table that contains all the book specific information, and an authors table that contains all the author specific information. And then we'll link those together through linking tables, citing which book was which with author or which publisher, or through just primary keys, since a book typically is only published by a single author, by a single publisher. I can then set a foreign key in my titles table to point to a specific publisher, because they're not going to be listed by multiple publishers. Whereas with an author, a book could be written by multiple authors, so I'm going to have a book authors or a title authors table to link this book to multiple authors, or possibly an author to multiple books. And so to create and just to simplify and make sure we don't have redundant and dirty data, we normalize database tables.